have one viewer. Oh, Catherine.
I was gonna say
it was me, Cindy, and Catherine. Oh, and Victor.
It's a party.
Hey, Victor, happy Friday, Victor.
Woo, woo. Hey guys.
Oh, Victor.
It's supposed to be shout outs too this week. But
shout out
you're
to
gonna
all
have
you
to
on Patreon watching right now.
Yeah. Because
hey, Danny McManus. Hey man, how's it going?
Danny.
We are all safe. We are good. We are doing this live because obviously we had a hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
So is this gonna be the official start? Are we starting now?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are doing a new format here
for today. I've considered it going forward, but
this part is still, we're gonna do an hour.
Yes.
A straight hour for everyone.
Yes.
And then if the conversation is still going and whatever, we'll take a quick break for everyone and then continue the conversation over on Patreon.
Only for patrons.
Only for patrons. So if you're not a Patreon member now, it's a good time to become one.
Yeah, of course.
And the clock starts now.
Hey, Bree.
So, welcome to another episode of the Riley Black Project. Crystal and John.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. We have a studio.
We do. Wait, huh? We've had a studio. Because the live we did yesterday.
No, because the tornadoes and hurricanes didn't take it away. Right. So we're very thankful to still have one.
Yes.
So
and we got away with minimal damage. Yeah. More of that was yesterday's live. So if you haven't seen it,
go check that out. Because we went in depth on just everything because there was just so much. I didn't want it. Kind of needed its own thing. It's just like we're gonna call it a bonus episode. It's really just a live that we're gonna post for everybody.
Yeah. I built a camera Lego while we were doing it because we weren't sure if anyone was gonna be watching on such short notice.
Right.
But yeah. So today's episode is brought to you by
Katie with Monarch Pine.
Oh wait.
What?
Oh yeah. Well, we should just introduce her because she's on screen.
Hey, we'll get there in a second. I was on a roll.
She was on a roll.
Gosh.
Monarch Pine.
Katie with Monarch Pine. She's giving everybody 10% off with code Riley Black. So go to monarchpine.etsy.com. Now you can say who we have.
Welcome to the show, Cindy from I don't know where, Jersey. I don't know company name. I didn't get any of that information because usually she's only been on the episode or the podcast a few times. And I know her, but I just don't know.
I don't know her.
I just hear Cindy.
I don't know her.
Hear Cindy.
Cindy,
our friend Cindy.
Always India.
LoLo Berry, right?
Cindy Creation.
Yes, Cindy Creation.
That's my new name.
It was a good guess. But...
Cindy Design. Designed by Cindy. Creations by Cindy. No, what is it?
It's LoLo Berry Shoppe out of Piscataway, New Jersey. Rutgers country, I like to say.
Nice.
So how's it going?
It's going. It's going. I think the last time I was on the podcast was like a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We were on our couch, weren't we?
No.
Or were we video?
No, you were on no, you had video. Yeah. No. It was on phone. I think we were,
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, because it was with in the beginning with Heather. Like we were
yes.
Just causing trouble.
Right? Of course.
She still is.
Always. Hi, Christy. So I wanted to have you on just because, I guess rewind a little bit. I did a live in my group one day and, I was just packing orders and I was just like talking to everybody and she caught the tail end of that live and, I had just heard about the book The Secret. I hadn't even read it yet. Right. I don't know if I even downloaded it yet, or maybe I had just downloaded it or didn't look at it yet.
We had just done the episode.
It was earlier that week.
Like that day. I think it was like the next day.
No, I think it was a few days later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was already on my mind, but I hadn't actually like done anything with it. And then she was like, what did she say? She's like, oh, we need to chat later on. I was like, oh, for sure. I've been meaning to like reach out to her for a while, but life always
be life.
Life is lifing.
Life be lifing. And like today, it happens every day, but like I'll pick up my phone to like go, oh, something reminds me about someone to go text them. But then a notification will show up. And then now
Something
that thought
shiny.
to text that person is gone for sometimes hours or days. But anyway, so we had talked a little bit on the live, and then after the live, I called her, and I had a lot of things I needed to finish for the course. But instead we were on the phone for like 4 hours, and we were just talking about life. And it was a phone call that like I just really needed right then, like we had started this just like positivity and like thoughts are powerful thing, and we didn't know about the secret, but the secret was more like just a way to continue that positivity practice,
give it more purpose.
Yes. And so when I talked to her and I just kind of like heard her perspective on it, just her perspective on not only the book, but like what it did for her and how things changed for her. It was just, it was so impactful. It was just another kind of like testimony per se of like how powerful positive thoughts are. So going back to when we had you on before, one of the many times we had you on before was because we were, and I guess still kind of part of the Black Cloud bitches, which now we're going to be like the bright and sunny bitches, right? Or something. We're still bitches. We still have our days.
Yeah, we're just looking at the silver lining now instead of
exactly the silver lining. That's cloud. What I loved that you said. Yeah. So the Black Cloud bitches, but we're looking at the silver lining rather than just the storms and the rain that it brings, right?
And the tornadoes.
So it's too soon. Too soon. And so I just wanted to bring you on to talk a little bit more about that, because when you were going through like the thick of it, I mean, listen, the things that were going on in your life, like having a positivity journey through that would be near impossible. I mean, you weren't on it yet, but like just the one that stands out to me the most. I mean, there's many. So your shop had like flooded several times. You woke up from
She's like, don't remind.
You woke up from a surgery that was already traumatic enough to be having, and then you woke up from surgery, and what was it? The whole left side of your body?
My whole right side.
Right side.
And then
just
like I got
work.
feeling back. Yeah, and then from my waist down, it's like that was a mess. I was like immobile.
Right. And they were just like, oh, it just happens. And we're like, oh, fuck, BCBs could be happening again.
Yeah. And that was exactly, I think that morning when I woke up, I was in the hospital, and I think you and Heather were checking on me. And I was just like, you're not going to believe this.
Right. Yeah.
Hey there, podcast listeners. How great would it feel if this was the year you finally got to escape your 9-to-5 to embrace your lifestyle of creativity and entrepreneurship?
Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, Eon Laser USA invites you to join the Freedom to Create webinar, where you'll learn how to make this a reality.
Join leading laser industry professional and brand ambassador Emily, aka That Mom with a Laser, and Eon Laser USA's sales manager Alicia as they dive into all things Eon.
Learn about the advantages of owning an Eon Laser and get the scoop on Eon's rewards and partner benefits. Plus, get a glimpse at how everyday people who started out with zero experience paid off their lasers, scaled their businesses, and transformed their lifestyles.
So if you're ready for a lifestyle change, head over to eonlaser.us/whyus and sign up for the Freedom to Create webinar today.
Thanks for listening. Laser on.
Attention all laser owners and crafters. Are you tired of spending hours cutting, painting, and assembling laser products? Look no further than Crazy Laser Dad Laser Ready Blanks.
Their high-quality blanks are expertly sourced, tested, and ready to use with your lasers. Say goodbye to the hassle and frustration of time-consuming projects and hello to more time creating and selling.
Plus, with their wide selection of items, you'll surely find the perfect blank for all your customers.
So what are you waiting for? Visit crazylaserdad.com today and take your laser crafting to the next level with their laser ready blanks.
So tell me a little bit about how, like, what was that like turning point for you? Like how, like, where did it start to go the other way? And what was it before we were live? What'd you say, from a zero to a hero or something like that?
From zero to hero.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for me, if I can pinpoint where it started to turn around, I was depressed. I couldn't figure out what I was doing with the business. And, you know, I'm not laser famous. I'm not a laser celebrity like you guys are called.
Yeah.
But I've always been there. I've always been either on the sidelines. I've always rooted for everybody. I've always kind of pushed people.
Yeah.
I'm a pusher.
Right. You are.
But I think for me, it was just trying to push everybody else and still being in the thick of it.
Right.
I hit rock bottom. I was already starting to sell off things and get rid of supplies and materials, and everything was a mess. My head was full of ideas, but I didn't want to do anything.
Right.
And I felt like I feel like I've died 100 deaths with this business. And that last one where I told Michael, when I told my husband, I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And he told me, then don't.
Right.
And that's when I was just like, I didn't want to hear that. I didn't want to hear, well, then don't do it. I wanted to hear, like I would have said to someone, no, keep going. You're onto something. You're doing great. Just keep going. And when I didn't get that from him, I was livid. I was not upset with him. I was upset with myself because I was expecting someone else to rescue me.
Yeah.
And that's when I was just like, what are you doing? No one's coming for you. Nobody's going to rescue you. You either turn it around right now or quit. You have two choices. What are you going to do? Pick which way you're going to go.
Well, and it's just like with anything, if you aren't ready for it, it doesn't matter how many people are telling you, you can do this, you got this, because I heard that when I was in like my place, and it's like, you didn't believe them. You're like, you're just saying
you're
that.
Just saying that,
you don't really know like what's what I mean?
Going on. You don't know how bad it is, or you don't know what, like, and it's almost like I'm making excuses for my actions. Like, oh, I'm like this because, or this is happening because, and it's almost like I'm giving it permission. Like I'm granting access to that horrible negative thought or feeling to take over whatever it is I was trying to accomplish. And once I decided, I'm not doing that anymore. And I just kind of like, I snapped out of it, but I snapped out of it in such a way that made me realize that I have so much potential, and my thoughts, I am not my thoughts.
Right.
Like I can survive this. Like these horrible thoughts of I mean, we all have it. We all go through those periods where we're just like imposter syndrome, which is bullshit, which is a fallacy. Like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Feels
exist. Right. It feels right, but it doesn't exist. You know? Because it's something that we thought up, and we're just like, oh my God, no, you're I don't want to curse. You're bad.
You can curse.
You're a badass motherfucker, and you're just like, I'm gonna take my power back. I'm gonna step into my power because this is who I am. You got to show up, and if you don't show up for yourself, nobody's gonna do it for you.
Right.
Nobody's gonna do it for you, and it happens to all of us, no matter how much confidence you see in everyone.
Right.
Everybody goes through it, and I wish I could just, shake people and just It's not true.
And
Free yourself.
Right. And I'm sure other laser celebrities go through the same thing, but like it's almost worse, I guess, for us because like we feel like we have to be on all the time. And I'm in the comments, scrolling through Facebook, like telling people like how do this with their acrylic or try this when they're experiencing that or do this or do that. And or you can do this or on a podcast, try this, or like motivating them and hearing their wonderful stories and then turning around and not being able to motivate myself, so I didn't realize how difficult one, motivating myself would be. And then two, I didn't realize how detrimental my thoughts were. So as someone who makes a lot of like inappropriate jokes, dark humor.
Dark humor kind of masks a lot of the trauma, and that exactly. I think that's why we click so well and so easily,
right?
Because
we send each other all the fucked up dark humor that we see because it's like it's either laugh or cry, and I'm gonna choose to laugh as much as I can. But like you have to be careful with those words as well, because
Victor says it's so hard to silence those voices.
Oh man. It's really difficult. Like it's I don't know that I think it might get easier eventually, and I think it does get easy. It's more of so those thoughts I don't know that they ever really go away. But I think you get quicker at turning them around and like being like, no, like just that day that I woke up and like I'm fucking 40 years old. So I wake up and my toe hurts for no reason. And my 7-year-old goes, it's going to be a bad day. And I was like, no, it's not. This does not determine my day. And like, I was so proud of myself because I've been pulling my ass out of bed and taking those boys to school, 3 days a week in this new routine. Normally I would sleep until he came home from like taking the kids to school and cooking breakfast. And I would get like an extra probably like hour of sleep, but I felt like hot garbage every time. And
Victor says, wait till you're in your 50s.
Oh man.
And Liz says hi.
Hi Liz.
Hey Tom.
So, it was like, and that day, like there's been a couple times where I've had like every excuse not to go. And I was like, no, I'm gonna go because even if I don't feel good or, it's a struggle. Like I usually go with my mother-in-law. So worst case scenario, she's there. I probably would have more of a heart attack if she drove my car than if I just got myself home. But she'd at least be there for like some moral support. And then if I really need to, if I'm still not feeling well by the time I get home, then I go home and I go back to bed. But like just showing up and like keeping those routines, and like the new routine is like Friday I get to sleep in. But now I'm tempted to shift that because it's like Fridays, then I don't wake up. It's kind of like that old feeling again because I get to sleep in. He wakes me up when he's done with breakfast, because
now that routine is familiar and it feels comfortable and you're just like, okay, I want to just stay in a little longer. I want to sink into this feeling because it's familiar because you're in a familiar feeling. It's
a familiar, but not in a good way at all.
No.
Cause it's like, ooh, no, like I know where that can go. And like, what was it too that I saw something the other day about like, losing weight and like how your brain hates when you lose weight to the point where like it will get better at like, consuming or like burning the same calories and like it gets harder and harder and harder. Like as soon as you get better, then your brain's like, oh, okay, then I have to step it up. And like, and so your brain, like it's this
I think that's one of the
battle.
Things. Yeah. I think that's what we talked about too, about, when you have that thought process, you believe those those words, those thoughts.
Mhm.
So that the same thing. Like if you're trying to achieve a goal, you kind of have to trick your brain. Your brain is almost like an independent entity where you're just like, you're trying to convince it every day. Like, hey, listen, it's not as bad as you think it is. Like, this is easy. We just have to try to, work through this. So it's
so true.
Totally
like it's like its own person. Like you have to sit there and be like, no, this is what we're like. You have to turn around and be your own brain's cheerleader when like we think that like, oh, it should just do that on its own.
Welcome to the revolution in laser engraving. Introducing Lens Digital, the creators of the game-changing Pyburn rotary attachment. With the Pyburn 4.0, you can turn ordinary cups, tumblers, glasses, and more into extraordinary masterpieces.
Looking to engrave niche items or want the functionality of a Chuck rotary? Look no further than the Pyburn Grip, Lens Digital's Chuck-style rotary. With a range of different sized jaws, you can easily engrave a wide variety of items. All Lens Digital products are compatible with most CO2 and Galvo lasers and were designed specifically for the laser industry. All that, paired with the best-in-class customer support, Lens Digital is your one-stop shop for all of your rotary needs.
Transform your laser engraving game with Lens Digital, where makers succeed. Unleash your creativity today.
And don't forget, we are proud Lens Digital affiliates as well. If you're shopping, code RileyBlack will take $50 off any order of $600 or more. Hey makers, are you trying to grow your laser business but struggle with things like social media, building local business relationships, setting up your website, how to charge for your products, or when to add employees to your business?
Samita and Anuj Patel are passionate about helping other makers build their laser business and realize that each business owner is at a different stage in their journey. Like many of us, they started with a hobby laser at home but have since grown to a warehouse with 7 lasers, a UV printer, and generate 6 figures in sales and ship out over 5,000 orders a year.
Their one-on-one mentoring sessions are perfect for those who have questions and want answers. The hour-long session will be conducted over Zoom and will be recorded so that you have access to it after as well. No question is off the table, and they will give you actionable steps to take your business to the next level. Book your mentoring call at homeboundcustom.com to start growing your business today.
Yeah, but I found like speaking to myself out loud, like the other day I was doing slate coasters. And I couldn't find the little rubber feet for the bottom that I usually put to keep them from gliding. So I had felt ones. Yeah. So I was looking for the felt ones. I had a whole strip and I must have put them down somewhere and I couldn't find them. And I went around and around and around looking for them. And then I said, stop it. What are you doing? Why are you looking for that strip? Go get another strip. Like I had to tell myself, you're going crazy looking for what you misplaced. Forget about that right now. You have a solution. Go get the other strip. And I was like, okay, let's do that. And I was like talking to myself in a way like, what are you doing? Like, you know what you got to do. Go do it. Why are you wasting time? You just wasted an hour looking for this. You have another one right there.
Right. Just
get it done. Go get it done. And I knocked out what was like 5 orders of slate coasters because I was able to stop looking for what I misplaced.
Instead of harping,
Yeah, and that was it. Before I would have been like, oh, well, I can't finish that because I don't know where I put them.
Right.
And like,
depending on the day, that could derail my whole day.
Yeah, and it was about to do that, and I was just kind of like, well, this ain't going out today because I don't find the felt strips. So I ended up grabbing another one, and I finished it. I knocked it out, got it in the mail, and I was like, wow, that felt so good. Like I checked that off the list, and I was like, I didn't let that ruin my day. It's something as simple as putting something down or misplacing something. Simple. And it would have fucked my whole day up. And by the way, like now my new thought process was just kind of like, what are you doing? Like stop. But you have to catch yourself. You have to be able to. And I mean, it's not easy because there are days where I'm just like, shut up. Right? No, you shut up. No, you shut up.
Arguing with the angel and the...
Bree says it reminds her that Kevin Hart meme. Say, hey, no, come here. Look at me. Look at me. No.
Look at me. Yeah, exactly. Hey, look at me. What? No.
Hey,
what did I say? No.
It's so true.
It's just it really
Victor, read soundtracks. It literally is this. I need to. My brain hates a mystery. Oh my god! Don't even. Yeah.
The brain hates a mystery. I gotta look into that one. Yeah, but I'm telling you, the book, going back to the book, when you were on the live and you said that, I said, oh my God, we have to talk, because I read that book years ago and it sat in the back of my head and I never even thought about it. And then I saw on Netflix, I think they had like a mini documentary thing on it. And I started watching that and it came up and I watched it again maybe a couple of weeks or maybe a week before you even said that. And I was just like, boom, it's fresh in my head. I got to get you, because, you know, it really started to change everything. And, you know, I don't know, a lot of people don't believe in, like, you know, everybody jokes about it. It's like, oh, manifest it, or, oh, you know, speak it into existence. And it is so true. Because from when I started to remember what your thoughts can do, everything turned around for me. I got myself out of the slump. I've gotten great clients. I've gotten repeat customers. I've gotten bigger jobs. I've got, and it's been eye-opening. And I've been able to talk to other people. Like I talk to Liz all the time. I talk to you. And it's like the positivity and the motivation and like you know, that boost of my ego, you know, what you guys do for me, and it makes me feel like, okay, I'm on the right path now. And you know, and it helps when you have your friends kind of like saying, I see the change in you. I see that you know, wow, like whatever you're doing. And it's just like, okay, I'm doing something right, that now I noticed it and now my friends are noticing it, and you know, and it's showing up in my business, and it really is. It's like that eye-opening.
The story in the book that I really liked was the guy who was gay in the book, and how or the client of this like therapist or whatever, and he's like, you know, everyone at work is bothering me and they hate me because I'm gay, and like, you know, when he's walking, you know, just down the street, how people are harassing him and like all these horrible things are happening to him, you know, because he was gay. And the therapist was like, why don't you, you know, basically just change your thought process, focus on the positive things, and if there is a negative thing, just don't give it any energy. And it like literally turned around of like the people who he felt had been bothering him and you know, poking on him at work, like they either left or they went to new positions, or, you know, they were gone. And then he was walking down the street and then he noticed the flowers instead of like there was no one bothering him. And it's like, if you focus,
you feed into it.
Well, even just think about when you buy a new car, or you're thinking about buying a new car, you see them everywhere. Like that is a simple example that I feel like everyone can relate to. And it's not even like positivity or negativity. It's
now you thinking, it's aware.
Like, so when we started thinking about like the minivan life, it really is. It's totally, it's like the algorithm of your life.
When you search for it one time. So just in your mind, search for, like Victor said, he's going to
money.
Victor said he's going to win the lottery. So Victor, just go in your like Google head and search lottery winnings, and then it's just going to keep coming up.
Well, and like, think about the person. I mean, there's people who have won the lottery like 15 times or something crazy. And it's like, I bet you they're sitting there like, I think I'm going to win again today. You know what I mean? Like, it's so important. And the thoughts like that you create. And if you don't create those thoughts, and if you don't believe they'll actually happen, as soon as that thing happens that, you know, tells your brain it's not going to happen, you're like, oh, yep, see, I knew it. And then you give up before you even had a chance. I mean, if I wouldn't have had this positivity journey, this course would not exist.
Christy, the name of the book is The Secret.
Yes.
She asked for the name of the book again.
Hey, Toby.
Yeah. And then like aside from that, and it goes into the algorithm, because we have been like, you know, looking at more like motivational things or whatever. Yeah. One thing that stuck out to me, one of the reels that I forget if you sent it to me or I saw I sent it to you, but it's, if you knew that you had, if you just got a check for $100,000, like $1 million or whatever, and you put it in the bank, but you couldn't touch it for
10 days.
You have to wait for 10 days.
Yeah.
You're going to move differently, even though you don't have the money yet.
Yeah.
Because in 10 days, those funds will be available to you.
Right.
So you're already going to live like you have it because you put it in there. So,
Right.
So it's kind of that, like you put that in there and then you move forward knowing it's coming.
That it's there already.
That it's already, you can't get it yet.
Yeah.
But you'll have access to it soon.
Right.
So you go about your daily life like thinking, okay, like in 10 days, 10 days obviously figuratively, but
yeah,
I already put the order in, like I already put the check in the bank.
Right.
It's going to be available to me soon.
Right.
And you start moving, then it's there.
Well, and then the other flip side of it is if you knew you already had it or it was already going to happen, you might let off the gas. So like you have to make sure that you have to keep on that path,
right?
No matter what.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like where you don't know where you're going to be next month, next year, the years prior. You can't picture any of that because almost to a certain extent, if you did and you already knew it was going to happen, you might not keep doing what you're doing that actually got you to that point.
Right.
So you have to just like keep going, even if you have to stop for traffic, you just got to keep going. And listen, like with the course, there was so much traffic. There was so many things that happened. We had to get a whole new computer. Like we had issues with internet that greatly slowed down our productivity, and like there was like LED light issues, and there was just so many like things and reasons that I could have been like fucking those fucking flies. He hasn't shown up yet tonight.
Yeah.
Whereas he usually shows up.
Now he's gonna show up because we just mentioned them.
There's no food here. He's probably dead.
Yeah. But yeah, just keep it. So when you started, how did you keep on that path? And like what role did your husband play in some of this as well? Because I know he was at a point where he just didn't know how to help you anymore.
He didn't know how to help me anymore. I think he spoke with you, he spoke with Heather. He's just like, he's just like, I don't know what to do. She's whatever. There was a point where I was too far gone. Yeah. I was just kind of like, there's no coming back from this one. I think this was it. This was rock bottom.
Yeah.
And I saw on my motivation journey, I came across this thing that said something about, let's see if I'm going to botch this. I know, but I'll give you the gist of it. What I remember or what I took from it. When a skier is going down a hill, and he's trying to focus on the path, but he's only seeing the trees. He's only going to see the trees. I think I told you this.
I know this one.
You only see the trees. You're only seeing your distractions, what you're trying to avoid. You're only looking at that. But when you only look at the path ahead of you, you're only going to focus on your path. You're not going to look at the distractions of the trees because you're just focused on your path. You're not going to crash into a tree because you're just focused on your path. And I think that that's what clicked. And, a lot of what they call dark night of the soul. I cried. I would cry myself to sleep. Then I got into meditating. Then I got into reading Gary Bishop's Unfuck Yourself. Or it just like, it was everything just happening at the right time. Like everything just seemed to click at the right times. So I'm very fortunate that through it all, Michael was there. He wasn't oh, baby, it's going to be okay. Oh, and I don't want to call it tough love.
Right.
But he definitely was just kind of like, I'm still here.
Right. I'm here when you're ready.
I'm here when you're ready.
Right.
And I stopped drinking.
Yeah.
I stopped, I started riding my bike. I got back to exercising. My doctor is just like, listen, physical therapy, you could still keep going to physical therapy, or you could just go out and, do 10,000 steps a day, which sucks.
It does. But I'm trying to do 7 and I'm fucking struggling.
It is. It's hard. Like I still, there are days where I'll lose feeling in my hip and my leg and, and I'm just like, it's miserable, but I keep going. I've got freaking like these stupid orthotic sneakers that it's just like, I'm standing in the basement. I'm just like, nobody can see me. I'm like rocking these old lady New Balance sneakers. It's like, whatever. But it was, yeah, the Skechers, the ones that rock. But it was all those moments combined that I think. So there's not like a one aha moment that I can say was it, but that whole thing about being focused on the path and not on the distractions really helped me. And I was just like, oh, okay. And then I started going into like these, networking events. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know anyone here. Like my business hadn't even like started to do what it was doing. And just, I put myself out there. And these networking events, there were a bunch of like-minded people, and they were all telling me, you have something to offer. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing to yourself? Like, it wasn't like, oh, you're great, or you're this. And they're like, what are you doing?
And
it's just like, I don't know. And then that's when I started focusing on, first I started with the brand, changing my logo. I started doing my marketing materials, and then I was like, okay, and it felt real. It started to feel like it was coming together. But the book definitely helped changing my mindset, going all doom and gloom to, blooming. Like it just, it made such a difference. And Michael played a part in it because he was there. It wasn't, he didn't give up on me. He didn't, he didn't think that I was too much. He didn't think that this was too much, because I was definitely too much.
I get it.
I was a ball. I was a tornado. Sorry, I wanted to bring up tornadoes again. But I was just like, I was just a cyclone. I was constantly, even the kids, and I love them dearly, but they were even afraid to approach me. They were afraid, like mommy's angry, or mommy's sad today, or mommy's crying today. And Michael's just like, the kids are constantly asking what's wrong. Like all they see is you're crying. You're crying.
And they feel that too. It's that whole
that's
energy
like what you
that
said.
you put out there.
You hit your toe, or your toe is in pain. You woke up and say, oh, it's gonna be a bad day, because now they're already ingrained to think like, oh, if she's not doing good, we're not gonna do good. And I flipped the script, and Logan had been going to cognitive behavior therapy because he had a lot of emotional big feelings, and I started going with him, and I learned to help him regulate his emotions, and that helped me in turn regulate my emotions, because it's like, how am I supposed to parent him if I didn't know how to parent myself?
Can't even do it.
Like, so all of that, I'm just blessed that everything happened when it was supposed to happen. And I think in turn it happened because of the book, because of The Secret. It was just kind of like, I turned my thoughts away. Like I turned the bad thoughts away. Like I wasn't feeding into the negativity. But it definitely, it was me like, here on this couch, like crying, like, like, and it was just like, what are you doing? Like, stop it.
Well, and with that tree one, I think that I saw one that was really good. It was like, if you tell yourself not to think about something, you're just going to think about it. He's like, if I tell you don't think about an elephant, everyone's going to think about an elephant.
You already thought about an elephant.
And with the skiers, it is a thing that like, you don't focus on the trees. You don't look at the trees because you will hit a tree, because that's what your brain is like, oh, look at the trees, look at the trees. Oh, look, it's so pretty. I'm gonna run into it.
Watch this, like watch that. Yeah.
It's similar to like riding a motorcycle or even a horse. Wherever your head, whatever you're looking at, that's where you go.
So that's why the horses wear blinders, because they just need to see, in front of them. They need to focus on where they're headed. And I think that's part of
putting on your blinders.
Is putting on your blinders and just saying, okay, this is my path. I have to stick with it. And, and sometimes the path isn't straight. Sometimes the path, you have to wind around, and, but you're you have to pivot, and you're in the right direction. You're going in the right direction. It just may not be a straight path. And then, and even if sometimes if you have to take a few steps back, like, you change that mindset, and it's like now you're propelling yourself, like a slingshot, you pull back. Sometimes you feel like it's a setback, but then, when you're ready and you let go, you're going to see how far it pushes you.
Yeah. Yeah. And even changing, like we were talking about kids picking up on it, even JR now like says it out loud. And we've talked about words have power.
Yeah, we just talked about it like a little bit, like not even like a long conversation, not a lot, but like just little things, like when he would say, "Oh, I can't do that," and I'm like, okay, you're gonna be right. Like and it's hard for a 7-year-old to understand, but it's that same thing. If you say you can or you can't,
you're right. Mm-hmm.
So if you say you can't, you're going to be right. If you say you can, you're going to be right. And I'll see him doing it with like his games and stuff. And in his defense, he's seen me do it with my games. So like John always makes fun of me because like when we were like first reading The Secret, I would be like almost kind of jokingly, I would like sit there and I'd like focus on like, so I have this little like Tetris game that I play while watching TV because
she used The Secret on the game.
I did. And several times, both times that I used it, I beat like a high score that I haven't been able to beat like for months. And I was like, and I go, "Babe, look." And he was like, oh, and he rolls his eyes every time. And I go, no, but do you want to know something else? And I go, "I used The Secret." And he was like, "Oh my God." He's like, "You used it on a game?" And I was like, they told me in the book to practice.
You start on little tasks. You start, small. It's like,
yeah, and it's funny. So I would listen before we discovered The Secret and everything. I had been listening here and there, especially when it's like the doubt started to set in about going into business on my own.
Right.
A lot of like Steve Harvey, and a lot of his stuff is the same way. Like change your altitude, change your attitude, change your altitude. Like what you think about is what you get, and so it's a lot of that. And I realized when I would go to like bed after like hearing some of that stuff, like the next day was better.
Yeah.
Whether it was like, there was someone called me with interest, even though they didn't like solidify and like actually, but there was like some interest, or I got an email or something small to like change it. Like, okay, it's a sign.
Once you get those leads, you start to believe it.
It's that sign, like, okay, this is I'm starting to get a little momentum here. This is what, and then fall back into that slump, and then it's that whole thing of you have
which
to
is
constantly,
really easy to do.
Yeah, it is, especially when like you're busy on like one thing and nothing else comes. And it's also like another thing that he has is like you have to make room for. You're not going to be given more than you can handle. Right. So if you're complaining about, I have so much work to do,
right,
then the universe is going to pull back and be like, okay, well, we can't overwhelm them. So let them take care of that. And then once they're ready, they'll come back and say, man, I really need some more. Then we'll give them, then we'll go ahead and give them some more. So it's that whole thing of, that sweet spot.
Yeah.
But then, that's the thing. Like, be careful what you wish for. Because, if you say, "Oh, I hate my job. I wish I had some," maybe you end up losing your job. Now you have an opportunity to go find something that you really wanted.
Right.
It's
but it won't look like an opportunity.
Right.
Not at that moment.
Your job, right.
So you have to change that mindset, and everything has to have a benefit.
Which is funny, because even going back to that like horrible day when they did the massive round of layoffs at my old job. Right. It was awful. Like I was newly pregnant. No one knew because I couldn't, like, it was way too early for me to tell anyone. But those emotions and hormones were full force. My mom was let go. My sister, I think she wasn't let go immediately, but she was let go soon after.
It was horrible,
and then
because
my whole department, like, so I'm sitting there watching, right? And so we had instant messenger, and like through the office.
Yeah, you said it was like it was all pinging.
You see them going from like green to gray.
Offline.
Not even offline, like like gray. Like there was offline, which I don't even remember what color that was. And then there was green if they were online. And then there was like, they don't work here anymore. And it happened like, so like I had everyone up.
Yeah, I remember
in my
getting those texts. You're
and
like,
it would
there
like,
goes.
you would see them knock off like one by one by one. And then my boss was gone. Now, mind you, they were on another floor. Yeah. So I knew I'd be in a second like batch because I sat with another department. Right. And so I was like, they're going to come to me last anyway, which was the worst feeling. Right. And then they come in my office and they basically tell me I get to keep my job, but I'm already sobbing.
Because everybody, your family, everybody was gone.
Like, they're like, and of course, 2 men from Texas, they were like, what's the problem? We're keeping you. And I'm like, but you killed off everybody else. What do you mean? But going back to that reason, like the shift. So before then I was happy. I loved working there. Yeah. My boss loved me. She was almost like my second mom. Like the only problems I would have is sometimes if people felt like I was the favorite, they'd feel some type of way about it. But other than that, like there wasn't a lot of drama and I was on another floor. So I didn't have to deal with any of that kind of stuff for the most part. And I was happy. And then it all, they let go of everybody. And then it was just me and one other person. And it was okay for a while, but it being not fun anymore is the reason that I felt comfortable enough to leave. When he was like, I want to go back home. He found a loophole.
My way to come back home.
And then you were just like,
yeah. And then it's just like, when you think back, like I probably wouldn't have said yes if I was happy.
I probably wouldn't have asked.
Work.
I probably wouldn't have even like considered asking. Yeah. I mean, as it is, it was hard for me to like say, hey, what do you think about this? Right. Because I didn't want you to think it was like an ultimatum. Right. But yeah, it is. It's definitely, I remember that time. And I also think back at how many reporters that I worked with that their contracts weren't renewed because they were on contract to contract. And it could be anything from like reporting stuff. It's not even like what your work says. It could be a look if you like, cut your hair wrong or something like that. Like it's very different in news because it's very much on what you look, how you sound, and just a bunch of things. Yeah. So I would remember they would like, essentially lose their job and be like, we're not renewing. All of them like landed on their feet. Like they all are in like almost better situations. Right. And your mom is in a much better situation. Oh, she loves her job. Your sister is there with her. Yeah. Like everyone that left almost is in a better situation than
it doesn't feel like it in that moment. You just got laid off. Right. It's fucking terrifying. It's traumatizing. Right. And like that's one thing that I don't miss at all about that industry, the oil and gas industry, because Christy, tell me what industry your husband worked for. So she said husband dealt with that every couple of years for 24 years. The last time he said enough and changed to a different company. Yeah. And so that was normal with the oil and gas company. Right. Now we were with a company that had been around for 75 years. Mm-hmm. So we were like, if anything, if there's ever like
that company was a company buying other companies.
We were the ones buying other people. Right. And for the most part, you would acquire other companies. And yes,
so you were like an acquisition company.
Right. To a certain extent, because we had been around so long that like, we were the ones who would buy other companies and we would take on more. So we'd often take those people. I mean, we literally bought, I think, 2 companies before that.
The biggest chicken company in the U.S. He's an engineer.
Yeah. And so with that, it was like,
Does it rhyme with Sir Do?
Well, my mom was the one who got me into that industry. She had been in it for a while, and she would, every 5 to 10 years, she would go through these like horrible layoffs. Like they were coming for months, and then like morale would just go to complete shit. But here's another thing, like talking about the story, the people
you bored Cindy, she left.
No, my laptop's dying.
But the people who, after finding out about the layoffs, who would go doom and gloom, conspiracy theory, chatting with everyone else, like complaining, worrying about this, worrying about that. Oh, are they going to let me go? Are they going to do this? And then there's the other ones who continued work as normal, if not like busted their ass even more. Like those people made it so easy for the company to figure out who was going to stay and who was going to go. The ones who were doom and gloom, everything sucks, like they're going to let me go. They're going to let you go.
Bye.
If that's how you act, live, breathe, like, and then the ones who are like, no, don't let me go. And you work your butt off, or you continue to work as you worked before. They'll see you potentially as an asset. Now, is it possible that they still let you go? Sure. But why not spend that time like not stressing about what hasn't happened yet?
Right.
Which, and again, it's easier said than done, right? But you know, if it's another one of my favorite quotes that I've seen recently of, if you can choose to have a bad day, you can choose to have a good day.
Just as easily.
Like everything can suck around you, but that doesn't mean that you're going to make it so that your day completely sucks. Because if you decide that it does, it does.
Yeah.
Have you read that Gary Bishop book?
I haven't. I do think I might have bought it for myself, but I'm not a book person, so I need to get the audio because I don't read shit.
You have to do it. Yeah.
Which book?
Unfuck Yourself.
Unfuck Yourself. I mean, he's got a series of books, and it's funny because I think in Liz's group, I think she was just she had posted about, you know, what do you like to do, to listen to or do when you're working, and I said, oh, you know, that book, like that really motivated me because, you know, there was a part in there where it says, like, you know, don't let your thoughts become your actions. Like your thoughts don't define who you are. Like, you know, you can have that, like you said, what was it that you just said? You can choose to have a good day.
If you can choose to have a bad day, you can choose to have a good day. Yeah.
And one of those things was like, just take action. You don't have to have that thought that everything is bad. Like just, you could change that really easily. Like, you know, again, it's not like something that people can just be like, oh, I could just do that, because I know for a fact that it took me almost a year to get to where I am now. And I think a year is a very short period of time. But, you know, in that year, I did a lot of work. I did the shadow work. I did the soul searching, whatever you want to call it. Like from rock bottom, clawed my way out, and you know, and I am, like you said, my testimony is that you change your thoughts, your whole life will change.
Well, and then something I was unprepared for was how it changed the relationships around me. And I was unprepared for what it changing those. I didn't think it would.
Victor says, I always choose have a great day, but people.
You know, but fuck people. But you have to continue to like not let, and it's hard. You have to let those people, and it's difficult if those people are at your job, right? And a lot of times they are. But if those people are your friends or your family, if they suck the energy out of you, if they make it harder to be positive, if they think it's funny or annoying when you're being positive, and it's like, well, yeah, because I'm singeing the negativity that you're oozing. Like I'm blocking it. Like, you know, got my what is it? My hater blockers on. You know, it's just I didn't realize how much it could potentially, and how it has potentially changed some of my relationships. It's changed a lot of them for the better. But it has changed some others in ways that, like, I was like, oh crap, I didn't plan on that, because
I didn't plan on this one.
Oh wait, like I didn't realize that certain things like were triggers for me, or like you may not be positive, but like if you're negative of how draining is to me, and like how I have to protect my peace. And certain people, hell, with this hurricane. So like my aunt, she, good thing she doesn't listen. She's
not a patron.
So not that like she doesn't take from my positivity, but like, so with the hurricane, she was in an evacuation zone and she chose not to leave. And
like a true Floridian.
And while I understand why people don't want to, but when people have the means and they don't have kids and they don't have pets and they don't have like all these reasons, that a lot of people use to stay behind. And she at least went with a friend, which felt a little bit more comforting for my personal like comfort. But then, I was starting to like hyper focus on like the obsession of her not leaving. And then I'm like, you know what? Like that's her decision.
Yes, Liz, she did.
I would feel more comfortable if she left, but that's not for me. The decision she's making is not a personal attack for me. If she wants to stay and she feels that she is not at risk, or if that she has done the things that she needs to do. Like she did have like some plans, whether I agreed with those plans were enough. And again, this is all like third party too. I'm hearing what my mom is telling me, not any of this directly from her. And I had to like stop myself and be like, that's up to her. Like, don't let, and again, it was the stress of everything. And like when situations are crazy stressful, like you just want to control everything. You want everyone to leave. You want everyone to do what you think is best in that situation. And it's like, well, that's not fair. The only thing I can control in this crazy literal hurricane is what we've done to prepare. Right. Did we put up our shutters? Did we get enough water? Did we, it was funny too, because we said this on the like, quote podcast or the live last night that like when I would get stressed.
Control? Never. And Liz brought something up which adds to this, but
dance storm.
Yeah.
Well, so when I would like kind of feel that anxiety build, and there was like we had done everything we could at that point, right? We had got all the things, all the snacks, all the activities, whatever.
We didn't get enough snacks. She ate through them before the storm even like was
but
close.
I did start. And then I got to a point when there was a tornado coming down the street, not literally, but kind of, where I was like, then I couldn't eat at all. But when I got panicked, I would tell him to make a couple bags of water.
So many frozen. If you need a bag of ice, I have a lot of it.
But like it felt like it calmed down. It was ridiculous, but it calmed. Like, it felt in the moment that I was like, I'm controlling what I can control. And like, you just had to like be in the moment and not worry about the decisions that others were making and not let them affect.
The first time she asked me, I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. The second time, I'm like, I already did 3. Why do we need 2 more? And then the third time, I'm like, oh, I see what's going on here. This is so I'm going to be making bags of rice for a while. We're going to run out of Ziplocs here pretty soon. Next hurricane, I'm adding Ziplocs to the list.
You should. Listen, it was pretty genius, though. I mean, it was a good idea.
Mechanism.
What are we going to do with all this ice now? Well, but listen, if we didn't have power right now, you'd probably be thanking me.
Yeah, seriously.
So
yeah. Anyway, Liz said that your aunt, Lieutenant Dan, storm.
Totally.
But listen, Lieutenant Dan, he was like, if you don't know, Lieutenant Dan was in Tampa where it was supposed to have the surge. And he's like, I'm going to ride it out on my boat.
Right.
Because it's all I have. He's like, if I lose my boat.
Have you heard the controversy about little Lieutenant Dan?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay.
I haven't. I haven't heard the conspiracy theory about him. He's a plant, I guess. Anyway.
No, he's just, someone was going to gift him a boat.
Yeah.
And then they looked into his history.
Oh, that's what I was going to get to.
It's pretty spicy.
I'm sure. I'm sure it is.
Right.
He doesn't look.
He doesn't have a leg.
Like.
Yeah. He looks like it's been a spicy
He looks
past.
like he's got a shady past.
Yeah, Right.
But anyway, he decided to ride out the storm in his boat that was anchored to like a little like it wasn't
A
even
dock.
a
Small
pier.
dock,
It was
yeah.
like it wasn't even a dock. It was like
Yeah.
the side, like a seawall.
Mm,
And he did, and he rode it out, and he
Right.
made it fine. So
yeah.
I didn't know there was a spicy pass, although
Yeah.
he didn't look like a savory character.
Right.
But he got a boat. He got I don't forget like how many. I think like 100,000 new followers
Mm-hmm.
and like all this stuff. So he turned his situation
Right.
like he's like, well, I mean, this is all.
Yeah,
I have.
and
I'm
I
Maybe
mean,
that
saying.
was his
honestly-
secret.
That's
Well, and
well, I
where
mean,
was he
had-
gonna go?
Right. Well, he could have gone. No, he could have gone to a shelter.
Yeah, that's
He
true.
could have, but he said, like he said, he was going
But
to end
listen,
out on the
who
street.
honestly wants to willingly go to a shelter? Nobody. That's part of the reason.
But when you live in a boat and there's a hurricane coming,
that's true. But still, I mean, I get why
he had the right idea.
I get why people don't go though, because like again, we have a pig and a dog. We have a pig, the dog, and 2 kids, and my mother-in-law, and like going to a shelter for a few days sounds
Victor, we
horrible.
have ice for life. All the bags I made.
But yeah, so it's just coming down to like the anxiety a lot of the times is when you can't control something and things being outside of your control.
Right.
And it's then turning it around and like, okay, what can I control? Like the several times where we would hit like a snag with the course. It's like, okay, well, what can we do?
Right.
What is the next situation? Like
Right.
when the internet went out, it was like, okay, well, then we started shopping around for other internet and we got that set up. And then, so we went with AT&T for fiber internet. And then it was like a week later, because that was the soonest appointment. And the night before they were supposed to come out, our appointment was canceled with no reason, no nothing. He tried to reschedule. Rescheduling wasn't like an option. So he called them and it wasn't working for some reason. He called them and they're like, oh, that's because our techs are on strike. And it was like, oh, wonderful. Okay. So then it was like, just like we just kept, I posted in the group at one point.
Saturday, AT&T came knocking on the door to solicit fiber.
My God.
I'm like, hey, listen, aren't your techs on strike right now? And I can't get.
We want
I'm like, listen,
AT&T, but you won't let us have it.
I just signed up already, and I can't. Why are you guys going door to door? Like, oh, because they should sign tomorrow or by Monday. And I'm like, oh, okay, good to know.
Right.
So they were trying to get their services in.
Well, and then here's another point. If we weren't doing the course, we'd probably still have that shitty ass Xfinity internet.
And then here's how this is how the universe,
turning that
the secret,
into a positive.
This is how this works. So we switch. Fast forward to now. We have AT&T, but we still have Xfinity cable like our TV.
Only because we're canceling at the end of the month and blah blah blah.
Our area, if you have Xfinity, is out. Internet, everything is out. We luckily still have
foreseeable future.
Yeah, we still have it because AT&T is fine. Yeah, we have it. The kids are watching Disney Plus, and we're golden. And like again, you can sit there and harp on our data plan and everything, and now I got to pay $30 a month on on Xfinity, this and that, or you can find a solution.
Right. Well, we found a solution, and it becomes a bigger solution. Now that problem actually helped us in more ways than one, because then, so as soon as we got AT&T fiber, he went to go upload the podcast that week, and it went from normally he would set it and forget it.
Literally at night. At night, I would start uploading at night because it would take like a couple hours. Sometimes it would take longer than the episode was. Yeah. Like, so if the episode was like an hour 20, it would be like 2 hours. And I'm like, how is it longer than the actual thing I'm like, but whatever. So I would set it and then go to sleep and then wake up and it'd be up. I did it with fiber and I'm like, no way. I'm like, I had to wait. I'm like, I'm going to wait till next week to see if it truly is that fast. And it is 5 minutes.
Yeah, insane. It's so insane.
It's so fast.
Yeah, it was funny. Robin actually messaged me and she goes, dude. Literally is all it said at first was dude. And I was like, what? And she was like, I don't even know how many like megabytes or gigabytes or whatever it was. And she was like, I just uploaded the largest file to YouTube and it took 5 minutes. And I was like, I know.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's
it's a whole new world. It really
right?
is.
And it's not like our speed went super fast either. It's not like we were like 500 megabytes to a gig.
Right.
We were at 800 with AT&T. I mean, 800 with Xfinity, and we went up to a gig.
Yeah.
So that's only like 200 difference.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like a huge spike up for this speed. And I expect, I'm like, okay, well, we're going up in speed. It's probably going to take like 30.
Oh,
30
and it was
if
cheaper.
if I'm like lucky, it's going to be 30. But it's probably be more like 45 minutes to upload it. 5 minutes. I'm like, no. I'm like, this timer's off. It's going to take an hour. And then, no, in 5 minutes,
and
it was
then
up.
the new computer bullshit. Like, I've needed a new computer for a while.
Yep.
But, like, listen, replacing computers or phones is really annoying.
Yeah.
Even when, like, you have all the things set up to, like, help make it a little bit smoother of, like, not having to
There's always something that goes.
Just
always
like
a few things.
We went to... we thought we had set everything up. I go to cut a job. I realized Lightburn was not connected to my laser. So then I had to go through like connecting my laser, and I reach out to
Lightburn.
support. Yeah,
I set it up and everything.
but it didn't know.
But
it was like, you don't have a laser. And I'm like, yes, I do. And my laser's right here.
Do you still have the Raspberry Pi? Do you have the Raspberry Pi connected to it? Or you
now? It's 1 hour. So we have to start wrapping it up soon, and then the rest will be cut off for the free members. Yeah. So I do have the Raspberry Pi, but even that wouldn't work well, and I think it was because my internet was shit.
Probably.
I honestly
bet
think
if we try it now.
That's true. If I try it now, because it was so frustrating, because I go to like try and set it up, and then I'd go to like try and connect to it, and that wasn't working as well either. It was so shoddy. And then, but thankfully the way that my computer setup was, it actually was just much easier for me to connect the USB. I was so close to it that like
just ran
it was just easier. So I would plug it and unplug it.
Originally it was behind you.
Yeah, the laser was behind me, so I couldn't like, it would be a literal trip hazard.
Death trap. That's why that's why I ended up getting the Raspberry Pi. But then now I have the MacBook connected with the USB, and then from my Mac Studio I just do the designs and I send it that way.
Yeah,
because you could copy and paste from so I think that so
I mean, all of the things that were stressors and annoyances with the course, like even down to when I realized that the LEDs that I was using and teaching them with weren't available anymore, and initially when I ordered replacements, they were pure shit. But I'm glad that it happened, because now I can tell my students, don't order these, they're pure crap. Order these, they're better than the ones I was using before. Like, if I look at all of the things that during the process stressed me the fuck out, they ended up being better like afterwards, getting through that moment. While I wish, if I could ask, if like, could you wait until later? That would be great. But like, that's just not how life goes. And so it just comes down to like, okay, something happens. All right, well, now we work on a solution. And you don't always have to work on that solution right away. Like, listen, we all have bad days. Sometimes we're like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking try again tomorrow. If you need to do that, just do that. But then make sure you try again tomorrow, because it's really easy to go back to that place.
That's just like, that's the hardest thing. It's the most brave thing to do, is just to push forward and to change your mindset. And and you could see like how it just, everything just changes.
Yeah. So that'll do it for the free.
Well, and then this is the free person, but let's free person. I don't know what I just said.
This is a general admission. This is where general admission gets you.
Where can people, we're going to continue, but where can people find you for everyone else if they want to follow you and all the awesome things you're doing?
So I suck at social media, but
we all do.
That's one of the things that I think we talked about that, but we could talk about that in the Patreon, because I think this is a good topic for
we're going to keep going
for everybody else. But I'm on all social media under LoLo Berry Shoppe. You're not gonna find much in there, but if you follow me, if you friend me on Facebook, like I'm a great motivator.
She is.
Like, I think I did for your Century episode, for the 100th episode. I was like, oh, you win my friendship. And I stayed friends with Kimberly. I stayed friends with
that's awesome.
with a few other people. So I was just like,
I love that. And we're rounding up to almost 200.
Yeah.
I know.
It's fucking insane. Yeah. Cool. Well, so everyone who's on the live, because this is a different format because of Hurricane, don't go anywhere, but we're going to tell people that we're leaving, but we're not.
So as Cindy said, we're going to be continue the conversation into social media and everything. So this is a great time to join Patreon so that you can follow along with us. If not, well, this is where your journey ends. So Patreon, as little as $4 a month, can get you extra conversation.
Yeah.
But if you're not,
you get in on the secret. No.
That's it. Right. But that'll do it for general admission. For you guys, the life update's next. And we are back.
I'm tired.
Yes. Yes. We went for another
hour after.
Probably 40 minutes.
It said 2 hours.
Oh. Yeah, but then there's that setup.
It was still counting. And you're right.
Yeah. So about 40 minutes, give or take.
But yeah, just keep on keeping on, I guess.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Oof.
Those are so rude. They just come out of nowhere while you're talking. I don't think we've been on since we released the course. That's a life update.
Yeah.
I released the course, guys.
Yeah. The course is live.
Like for real. Not to like my test audience.
No,
like
out
it's
for the
out
masses.
for everyone. So if you want it, it's
LEDs
there.
with RBD.
LEDs with RBD.
.com.
.com. Go check it out if you want to learn some stuff. There's going to be some more stuff coming.
Like this?
Like this one?
Not this one. This
no,
one.
not him. Him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The on-air side.
But yeah, so I'm glad that I have been talking about it since August 2022.
Man, can you imagine if we were like on the cusp of releasing it and this Milton thing happened and set us back like another week or two? Because we haven't even been in here for the past week.
Right.
Like doing anything. I mean,
that's why I'm glad that I just released it. When I finally got to that point, I was like, you know what? No, this is happening. It's happening now. I need it to happen sooner than later. I will add stuff later. Right. And I'm glad I did, because now hell, the day of or the day after Milton happened, I got 2 students. And let me tell you, that'll calm you down a little bit when you got some, people signed up for your course and you got some money. So yeah, I'm glad that I just put it out there as it was. I can always add to it. I can always change stuff. I can improve it later if I need to. There isn't much I'd change now. We have a little list of like a couple things that I want to like adjust how the picture-in-picture was on like the first 2 videos, because by the third or fourth video, we kind of had really found what we liked. And what looked best, and
the music choice a little different.
Yep.
Yeah, on the first few videos.
Yeah, so just little things like that, but those things don't make the tutorial any less effective.
Right.
So
the information is going to stay the same.
Right. The information, the video, all of it
served a little different.
Exactly.
A little more salt, a little more garlic.
So it's just letting go of my perfectionist, letting go of my own self-imposed deadlines and expectations, and just putting it out there and hopefully people getting something out of it. I can't wait until I start seeing people's signs that they've made, either those designs or the ones. I'll be even more proud if they made their own, just from learning,
with the same,
premise. And yeah, I hope that it's helpful, and I'm just really fucking proud of myself for actually getting it out.
High five.
Thank you. And thank you, of course, for your help. It was nice to not go through the course craziness kind of alone this time. It was not alone this time, which was different from the last time. And that one was really fucking hard. It was a rough 6 weeks.
Yeah.
More than 6 weeks, but definitely that 6 weeks where it was like, course creation. But yeah, I'm just proud of myself. I finally got it out, and now we get to move on to what I keep calling after course life. So there's still a couple videos that I need that I need and want to make for the course, and we'll have to like have planned like recording days or something like that so that I can still get them done, but that we can move on to the other things that we need and want to accomplish. And one of the biggest ones is this craziness that's behind the camera.
Yeah. And the added craziness because the 9 is still covered for hurricane protection.
It's still tarped.
Yeah. So
and so it's just
organized to make rooms for new blessings.
Yeah. And I mean, it just also make it so that like it's a more like people with ADHD, we work in chaos. And
yes, you do.
But then also having it clean will help us as well. So it's like this constant battle of like, I know where most things are to a certain extent, and it gets dirty very quickly because that's just how I work and how I function. At the same time, we've felt what it feels like when there aren't 16 things to walk over and trip over
or move
and how much that can affect your mood when you walk into the corner of 14 something sheets of acrylic.
14?
Okay.
14?
More than that. 25 or more. A lot of acrylic sheets.
Just under 100.
Well, now I'm going to have to count them. But anyway, they're sharp and they hurt. And so like just little things, like there's this little fucking decor that I have that looks like a sea urchin. Piles. And it like grabs my pant leg or my leg all the time. And just getting those little things out, the little annoyances out of my way. If like, why is it right there? Do I need it right there?
Nope.
Let's get rid of it. If I don't have anywhere to like, if I want to keep it, let's hang it up somewhere. I can move it later if that's not the spot. If I really want it, but don't want to give it away now, okay, fine. Let's put it in a box. And if I remember that it's there a month from now and want to put it up, fantastic. But let's get it the fuck out of the way. So that's the life update is we're going to try and clean up our life that is this warehouse, garage, workshop thing and make it more conducive to a productive work environment. Because I can't tell you how many times you're like, where's this thing or where's this keychain or where's this product? And it's like, we didn't have a good system or the system is half done. So we're going to finish it.
Okay. Can't wait.
Yeah. I'm excited
I'm here for
it. And we're also ready for some snacks. It's been a long one. So
with that said, if you're watching this, it's a great time to join Patreon because the life update this week is only for general admission because we did so much in Patreon that
we did.
That they don't need a life update because we talked about all this there.
Right, we did. Yeah.
So yes, all jokes aside, if you're not part of Patreon, we're trying to add more and more content,
more and more value,
like extending, trying to find ways to make it.
Well, even just our live. Well, that one's going to be for everybody, but just when we can, adding that much more value and content for our members, just as a
more than just early access. Yeah, and now ad free. Because that's been the new, since we're doing the extended, I got to edit too. So it's easier to make it ad free.
Right.
So instead of like having to, if I'm already exporting 2 separate, might as well make 1 ad free. So now you get the added bonus of Patreon being early and ad free.
Yeah,
and
I gotta add that to our list of benefits.
There's so much benefits for joining Patreon. It's really only $4 a day.
Yeah,
$4 a month.
I was like a day. Wait, hold on.
$4 a day, and you can help feed us.
I mean, it's true.
In the eyes of an angel.
Oh my God, cut us off. Okay.
All right. Well, it's been another great episode of The Riley Bapper. Crystal and John.
Bye.
Mamie, we're all done.